We came up with promoting healthy eating and balanced diet. Uh, so the agenda of our project is team members improvements from professor feedback, project description, problem statement, minimal viable product, technologies, architecture diagram, spring 2 recap, project backlog, spring backlog, metrics, retrospective, sprint 4 project demo, live application demo, GitHub link, live application demo. So improvements made from professor feedback. Professor suggests us to add components to the architecture diagram. We updated our architecture diagram. Our MVP was not clear and coincidence. We focused on the things that are to be included as part of our MVP. User stories and acceptance criteria was misunderstood. We made changes as suggested by professor. So I'm going to introduce you my team. Uh, Satvik as backend developer, myself as backend developer too, Naresh as QA tester, Mansa as front-end developer, Brunda as database administrator. So team responsibilities. We make sure team has clear objectives of the project, make a list of all the tasks that need to be completed, being engaged and stay committed to submit deliverables on time, encouraging each other to complete the task given, understanding what is expected and what needs to be delivered, making sure every teammate providing the equal amount of contribution, providing the feedback within the team to perform better. The problem statement will be discussed by Naresh. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. Hi all. The problem statement is so people like to taste different cuisine and choose the most appealing food. So they often are concerned about diet restrictions such as gluten-free, vegan, ketosis, peanut allergy, and calorie count. So we would like to provide an easy solution to make healthy and good foods so that fit your daily calorie consumption limit. And the next one is project description. So in this project description, we mainly focused on four major problem statements. The first one is food classification, the second one is recipe generation, third one is balanced diet, and the fourth one is calorie estimation. So we capture the image of food. So we determine the classification of food, identify the calorie count, and describe the cooking procedure of the food. So with this information, an informed decision can be made on making the item or not. So the first one is food classification. So in this food classification is a challenging problem due to large number of food categories, high visual similarities between food food categories. So it's multi-class classificational problem to predict the 251 fine grain food categories. And the second one is recipe generation. The recipe generation problem is resolved by three major subnetworks. The first one is food understanding, the second one is multi-label classification, and the third one is conditional text generation. So the pipeline extracts the image representation with ResNet 50 encoder and obtain the ingredients. Recipes are generated with identified ingredients into a human readable format. Now the third one is balanced diet. A balanced diet is one that contains all the essential elements that the human body needs, such as carbohydrates, lipids, vitamins, minerals, proteins, fiber, and water are all essential components in a well-balanced diet. So a nutritious, well-balanced diet lowers the risk of disease and enhances general health. The fourth one is calorie estimation. So from the ingredients generated from recipe module, we have computed the calorie for the dish. So each recipe provided us the nutritional value for every 100 grams. Fat, every gram of fat has 37 kilojoules. Every gram of protein has 17 kilojoules. And every gram of sodium has 8 kilojoules. Every gram of sugar has 17 kilojoules. So in this, every kilojoule has 0.239006 calories. So using this data, we use the following formula to estimate calories. So the next one is personas and over to Mansa. Thank you.
Thank you, Naresh. So I would like to discuss about the personas. So we have Elena, the dietitian. Elena is an expert dietitian who is 33 years old. She is qualified health professional who helps the patients with nutrition deficiency, and she is registered with the CDR. She has a license to practice as a dietitian and a nutrition consultant. So Catherine, the nutritionist. She is a certified nutritionist. She works with healthy people to promote healthy eating habits. She helps in creating awareness to prevent disease related to the nutrition deficiency. Catherine is smart enough to understand the people's health condition and helps to get medication supplements to them. She uses an health assessment, which is online, to curate a daily supplement routine to her tailor needs. Zuan, the nutrition deficiency patient. She is 24 years old who is suffering from nutrition deficiency. She has a sign of vitamin B12 deficiency and she's suffering from dry skin, severe hair fall, and brittle nails. She needs awareness about the good diet and healthy food habits. She needs a treatment which includes the supplements and change in diet, lifestyle, and eating habits. So we have a John, gym trainer. He's a successful personal trainer in the gyms, and he have good knowledge about what his client eats as an important training in their regimen. He helps his client to reach his individual goals. He makes an individual plan for his clients, and he knows what's the right mix of calories of and macros from the whole foods, which is the most important thing. Grace is a client for the Ryan, and she's 22 years old, young, upcoming model. So she loves to be active and physically fit. She is very much concerned about the food that she eats, and she follows a proper diet provided by the trainer. And every day she spends 2 hours in the gym. Minimum viable product. So we would like to implement few the following features in our part of MVP. So we have created user registration, login page, home page, and we displayed all the features on this home screen of the application. We implemented a particular feature called maintenance calorie calculator. So we have used the technologies which are React JS, Jupyter, GitHub, Flask, and the TensorFlow. TensorFlow we used to capture the images because our project mainly based on it. And for the backend, we have used a Python, JS Node, Express.js, and MongoDB. The architectural diagram will be discussed by Satvik.
Thank you, Mansa. So this is our architectural diagram for the whole application. So in this, the front end is developed using React. Basically, our React, it's used to accept HTTP request and gives out HTTP response. Our application layer contains deep learning algorithms that are like used in image processing. Our application layer interacts with a database layer, and project files contains images. So the following is our architecture diagram for deep learning. In this, the input image is transformed into a matrix containing zeros and ones, which are basically pixels. Then these are passed to convolutional layer, and it detects patterns from the inputs based on it and pass it to the further convolutional layers. The convolutional layer simplifies patterns based on filters that we assign to them initially. There can be more than one convolutional layer. The next step is pooling. So the pooling is applied after a convolutional layer. The main purpose of pooling is to reduce the size of processing units. That helps in computing the information faster. Then the following step is flattening. It's simply a process of converting data into a preferable dimension so that the information can be passed to the next operable. So this is the whole thing about our architecture diagram, and these are the things that we implemented as part of our Sprint 2. We came up with a new project proposal. We tried to create a login page. We made improvements based on professors' feedback. We tried to come up with a product backlog and plan few stories for that particular sprint. So these are the comparisons that we draw from our Sprint 2 and Sprint 3. So we tried to work on draft paper on Sprint 3. We tried to create a login page, sign up page, We were tried to come up with more user stories. We created a new architectural diagram. We designed backend on also tried to create a database. So, so this is our product backlog. So product backlog is a prioritized list of work for the development team that is derived from the roadmap and the requirements. The most important items are shown at the top of product backlog, so that the team needs to develop knows what to deliver first. So this is the list of our product backlog. So like user can register using email and create password and log in through his credentials. Sending alert when entered an invalid email. User getting an alert if he enters invalid password. User trying to recover his password in case if he forgets one. User choosing a security question to retrieve his account information if he forgets it. User can enter his information like age, height, weight, activity status. User trying to navigate to all services in the application. User trying to search on the website, and user trying to view his information and edit his information. So that's all for our product backlog, and the sprint backlog will be discussed by Brunda.
Thank you, Satvik. So here is the sprint backlog and user stories. So user stories for the sprint, we have test cases and user stories. As a new user, I want to register using email so that I can log into the application. When user wants to register, he registers, then his information gets stored and he can log in using Gmail and password. As a new user, I want to log into the application, but I entered wrong credentials. So in that case, that I get alerted using a pop-up message that my credentials are invalid. When user wants to log in, he enters wrong credentials and then he gets notified by an alert to enter valid credentials, and the system asks him to enter right information. As a new user, I want to navigate using a search on the web page so that I can navigate quickly. But when a user wants to navigate quickly and he uses search bar on the top of the application, then he can navigate using search bar. Here are the test cases. So we have test cases for sign up. When we enter email and password, on clicking on submit, if the email and password are valid, then user is registered. uh, Email validation, if the email is invalid, it should prompt user to enter valid email. For password validation, if password doesn't meet required length or it is not strong enough, user is asked to enter strong password. So test cases for login, when we enter email and password, after clicking login, the user is logged into the home page. If email or password is not matched with the registered information, then user is prompted to enter correct information. Stories completed. As we discussed, like as a new user, I want to register using email so that I can log into the application. When user wants to register, he registers, then his information gets stored and he can log in using email and password. As a new user, want to log into the application, but I enter wrong credentials, so that I can I get alerted using a pop-up message that my credentials are invalid. Then when user wants to log in, he enters wrong credentials, then he gets notified by an alert to enter valid credentials and the system asks him to enter right information. Next. So story is not completed. Um, as a new user, when I want to enter inputs like age, height, weight, activity, so that I can get recommendations based on my information, where when user wants to give inputs, he gives inputs and press submit, then his information gets stored and then the system displays his information.
where as a new user, I want to navigate to all the services in the application so that I get familiar with all the services of the application. When user wants to navigate, he wants to get familiar with all the services in the application, then user can get to know all the services in the application. As a new user, I want to edit my personal information so that I can get recommendations based on changed information. Where when user wants to edit his information, the customer navigates to information, then he changes his information and he submits the information. Here are the matrices. So here is the team velocity chart. At the initial sprints, work done was not as much as we predicted, but then later on, for the sprint 3, we worked on it and we could do as much as possible. Like we tried to reach down the predictions. So in the there's the burn down chart. Like tasks we tried to achieve and we have reached by end of sprint 3. Yeah, and the retrospective is continued by Mansa.
Thank you, Brinda. So the retrospective, what went well is the meetings went according to the scheduled manner, and the team members complemented each other very well. We were able to produce a new challenge project proposal, and we tried hands-on to the new technologies that we have decided. What didn't go well is it took more time to work on the login page and the home page. We added new more user stories to the project, and it took time because we worked on the new technologies, and we tried the new technologies that we have decided. So what we did to improve is we improved the time management and spend more time to work on the tasks so that we can avoid the last minute hassles. We tried to stay committed to the deadlines, and we improved more communication between the teammates. We added more meeting sessions within the team, and we completed working on the MVP, and we started focusing on sprint 3 and 4. For sprint 4, we have stories planned and the user stories. So, as a new user, I would like to enter my inputs, age, height, weight, and my personal information. So, when I give the input and I submit the information, it will automatically saved in the database of the system. As a new user, I want to navigate to all the services in the application. So when I want to navigate to the system, to the application, so I can get to know all the services that are listed and the services that are provided by the application. As a new user, I would like to reset my password so that I can log in again. If I forgot my password and so that I want to change mine, the system store my new password, and we would also like to add a new feature, face recognition, in it. So if the user forgets his password, he can either log in through the fingerprint or a face recognition. So as a new user, I would like to edit my personal information so that I can get a new information that has been changed. Uh, and as a as a new user, like I have to if the personal details has changed, like phone number, address, and email ID, etc., so that we can update the information. Here are the application screenshots. So first of all, we would have to register to the application. So you have to enter your mail ID, password, and you have to confirm your password to register the application. So once you get registered successfully, you can get this login page. So you have to enter your mail ID and your password to log in. So you can successfully log into the to our page, and here is our GitHub link. Uh, yeah. So thank you. Happy eating.